and that's what I can do right there.
That's a really good thing to do.
The Zoom recording.
And
Okay.
I can't put my live on at the moment because I'm in your meeting, and for some reason.
Right. Okay. Well, I think people are happy to watch, but nobody's got any questions so far. All right. Well, we're going to record our Zoom, and I'm going to look to see if anyone pops any questions up here. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the headset off so people can hear some kind of audio. So, Sarah, my friend, how are you doing today? Let's go for it.
Well, it's a beautiful, bright, sunny day here in the UK, and we're on the south coast, and the winds are from the east, and it's really cold. How am I doing today? Well, I've got good sleep for a change, which is really good, and I'm feeling pretty good actually today, Lou. Thank you. Yeah, and when people ask, I don't like to just say fine, because that's what everybody wants everyone to say, and actually I don't do that. I just kind of check in with myself to see, what we're at. Lou, you're waving your iPad at me. Look at that. I know. Look at that.
Yeah.
That's not bad, is it?
It's all right. Yes. Someone, Lynn says I can hear Sarah clearly, so that's good news.
Oh, that's fab. Hi, Lynn.
Yes.
Nice to sort of to be here.
Yes.
I can't because we're really playing with technology here, Lou, aren't we?
We're making it up as we go along, as usual.
So well, we're getting really creative.
Yes.
But they, while we have got the technology to do this, and it's going to get it's going to become easy for people like you and I soon, Lou, because, AI this year, according to the astrology, is just going to be, through the roof, and it's just going to step forward and step forward. So, we are in a remarkable year of shift for this AI to step forward. And of course, what we've got to do this time is lead from the heart, and totally come from the heart, and this beautiful unconditional love energy, the divine feminine, rather than having the masculine energy, which is what happened in Atlantean years when we went totally AI, and it all got a bit twisted. So then we literally got downgraded, and then we had a purge, and then the floods came in, and Noah and his ark came in, and then we scampered all over the planet and inside the planet and all of those things, and the seeds of the wisdom that we had got scattered, and now we're gathering them all up again, and we're going to go forward, but this time with love, with the right side of the brain balanced with the left side rather than just the left. So I'm really excited about this year, and I know I will not. I mean, as a precursor to anything else that comes up in our conversation, I'm not negating the grief and the fear and the turbulence and the horrific circumstances that are going on around the planet. I mean, I've got a daughter in Bali, and there is, they don't get news; they just get militarized and shut down before they haven't got any news. They're just suddenly told they can't be out of their house.
Right.
They haven't got, So there is a lot of fear all over the place.
Yes.
And through not knowing, and luckily we've got some idea of what's going on to a degree. But a lot of places don't have that, and of course a lot of people are really losing they're losing a lot of people. They're losing lots of close family and friends, and they're becoming very frightened about this whole lockdown or safe harbor or peace. Calling it was it Amanda Ellis called it safe harbor, and I'm calling it a peaceful lagoon, and I like them both. Actually, my guides are telling me that, at the end of this whole thing, we are going to have learned a lot about ourselves. If we're shut down in here and do the lockdown thing, which obviously the whole planet is, which is incredible. Who'd have thought something so tiny would, close everybody down. but it has, and it's for good reason. And that means that we can go within, and if we do lose technology for 10 days or so while it all reboots, then that's okay. But can you imagine what that's going to do to those of us that are using technology right now? And if we don't have that, if we can't check our Facebooks and our Instagrams and whatever, for 10 days, then they say by the 14th, I believe, astrologically, then we should all be 14th, 15th of April. If it does slip off the internet, the internet, then it'll all come back again by mid-April, but rebooted. So not to be fearful around that. But can you imagine? I mean, I was talking to a friend this morning, or a client actually, and she said, do you think that's going to happen? And I said, well, if it does, that's like some people pay to do a peaceful retreat. They pay thousands of pounds to go to Australia and do a silent retreat. I mean, look at us. We get the opportunity to go within and really look at what's valuable for us.
Yes.
And look at our deepest, darkest, shadowiest places. And I know that I'm personally releasing a lot of grief right now.
Right, sure. Bless you. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
But I think, and I feel that it's stuff that you and I are light workers, and I've worked for 25 years as a healer and a therapist, and I'm great at nipping out there and helping other people, but sometimes it's easy to go and help others, but not so easy to look inside, because you're too busy helping others, and actually that's your job. But then what about when everything has been stopped and you don't do that job?
Yeah.
Where does that leave you?
Well, it's great, honey. I mean, I love your honesty, and I'm sure many people can relate to this. I've been saying the same thing and processing the same thing. You and I were chatting for a good while here before we plunged forth in this way here today. And I mean, I was in despair when I first learned about what was happening and what was possible, and just been working with myself and praying and meditating and working with spirit and channeling and of course the grace of being in service is you do get your own stuff worked on while you're helping other people to move through their stuff. But yes, then sometimes there's no distractions and you just got to sit in your own little puddle for a while and make peace with what is. And that's some very hard work. And as you say, it's incredible. God has created a retreat for the whole planet. And I feel I've listened to the astrologers as well, and the medical people that I respect and trust. And I feel like 2 months is probably the likeliest outcome in terms of needing to be quarantined, because anything less than that really doesn't flatten the curve. And that's what needs happening with just the virus itself. But like we're saying, Hun, there's a tremendous awakening of consciousness, and a lot of fear and grief and sorrow and is being released and being brought up, for the whole planet. And we get to hold our hearts open to all of this and ask to be of good use to spirit and to humanity while this happens.
It's true. And one of this client that I was talking to this morning, she said, because we're releasing the fourth dimension of, fear, karma, and time for me anyway. Hence, we've had that hour shift here in the UK with British Summer moved again, which catches us out. But the whole time thing is moving all over the place anyway. And the karma. And this person that I was speaking to this morning said to me, well, is this maybe on some level, because I said I was doing some grief releasing. She said, well, maybe on some level it's releasing some of the karma and the grief that has been held for generations to do with all of the purges that humanity, for want of a better word, has been dealing with since, for the last 13,000 years. I mean, or longer, 26,000.
Or not dealing with.
yeah. I mean, we know that, you know, that Pumapunku was created in, is it Bolivia? At least 20, at least, no, what the ancients said, they said at least 25,000 years ago. So that takes us round to that 26,000 year cycle. And I believe myself that planet Earth, Gaia, has been inhabited many times by many civilizations. And each time we screwed up, we've left our bodies, and there has been a purge, whether it be the locust or the floods or the fires or the, you know, the changes of the water levels or the pole shifting or whatever that may be.
Sure.
It's something within us, because most of us have reincarnated from each of those occasions, dumped our bodies, picked up a new body, carried on with that one for a bit. But on this occasion, this unique opportunity, we're bringing our bodies through the shift. Now, does that mean that within our heart space, we are releasing a lot of the grief, the guilt, the tears, you know, with this pneumonia? They say pneumonia and pleurisy are unshed tears. And I know here in the UK, we're particularly good at keeping our mouths shut. You know, you go to a funeral and you know, people sort of commend you here in the UK for not crying. I mean, how stupid is that? You know, I mean, the best place to cry is at the funeral, right?
Yes, you Brits have some interesting ideas, don't you, over there? Bless you. Yeah.
But, you know, perhaps it is that release of universal grief, of karmic grief.
Sure, sure.
We're perhaps clearing that. And then some of us are perhaps also clearing some of the karma that we're feeling, or the energy that we're feeling around us. I mean, I'm lucky enough to still be posting greens out, and you know, and we stand in a very orderly queue of like between, you know, 2 meters in between us, with plenty of sanitation and, you know, wipes on all the surfaces and all of that. But yesterday or the day before, there was a lady behind me, and I had put an antiviral cream I make into my pocket, ready to give the lady in the post office, just because, you know, I figured that, you know, she's there doing a service, and my God, what an amazing service she's doing. And I just want to give her something of use to her.
Yes.
But the lady behind me in the queue was clearly very stressed. And she was 2 meters away from me, obviously. And she was saying that she had 4 children. One was autistic, there were 2 very young ones, and one 13-year-old who knew it all. Her partner was in waste management, so on the front line, with asthma. And she was clearly in a state of just massive fear.
Sure.
Absolute massive fear.
Sure.
They had a dog. They had to try and walk the dog as well somehow. And, you know, I just said, look, I'm going to put this cream on this wall over there, and you can pick it up if you want it, because, you know, if it makes you feel. So I think, you know, we can just do. I can't help my daughter. She's in Bali. Well, I can in different ways, but I can't physically give her stuff in Bali, and she can't get out. So, but what I can do is help my neighbour, and I might not even know my neighbour.
Sure.
And I know that what goes around comes around, that someone is going to help Bexy out and Bali.
That's right, honey. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, we're all in the same boat right now, and we're learning a lot of quick lessons about community and vulnerability and asking for help and offering help. And, you know, it's quite a crash course in living together. It's
a great opportunity.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
On so many levels, but again, well, you know, we all know how challenging it is. And also, you know, you and I were just saying before we came on to record here that, you know, even though you and I are both Virgos, and we're both great analyzers, and we do love to study, and we do like to get it right, and I certainly love to do a lot of research before I open my mouth, and to talk publicly about, you know, anything. So I'm doing so much research at the moment, and I won't say what we were talking about, of course, but it's a case of, like, you know, well, which rabbit hole do you want to go down? You know, which strand sits well with you? And what we did agree, obviously, is that we need to go within, and that means meditate, and that means look at your own stuff. And I've been doing that for years with any, you know, when I was doing teacher training, we had to go within, all the shamanic work that I've done, you go within. And I thought I'd done a lot of my clearing up, but man,
Bless you.
I've got a lot to do.
Yes, darling. We never get finished, is the quote from my guides, but we get better every time we face our fears, you know.
I'm a layer.
Yeah, yeah. That's right, honey. I mean, I raised my hand too. I've told the story, you know, not only doing the channeling here, but doing nearly 40 one-day family constellation workshop sessions, you know. And I've told Joe many times, it's been a flood of tears, whether it's my own grief or being somebody's son or somebody's grandfather or somebody's husband or somebody's you know, boyfriend or whatever, just tears, 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 nearly every time. And, you know, I'm looking back on it now as I'm sure you are, about the inner work that we've done. And, you know, I'm really thanking God that, that I have that much experience, you know, but could it happen? Of course, it's going to happen again and again, because you know, feelings are healings, and we can't live in our head. We can't, you know, move into the future in our little rigid third dimensional social structures of denial and, you know, hierarchy and all the rest of it. So the rug has been pulled out from under us, and we're all on our knees, and the universe is saying, do I have your attention, you know?
Something so small has woken us all up, and you know, the other thing, as I saw on my Facebook feed yesterday, it was did you see it? It was where they were doing a live stream from all the cities around the planet.
No.
It's amazing. If you, I'll share it later, and you maybe
sure,
share
love to, love to.
It was basically doing a live feed from places like well, obviously here in London, and Dublin and Rome, the Vatican. It was looking at New York. It was looking at New Delhi. It was looking at Iran, Iraq.
Oh, it's all the empty cities, basically, is what it is.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. I've, you know, you've seen one empty city, you've seen a few anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I thought that was pretty amazing, because there was one city, and the Pope was sat in the middle of a square.
Yeah.
And the 3 Pope mobiles, and then just him sat in the middle.
Yeah.
He was in the middle of this square, and just sat there in a huge empty square. And I think there was something. There was a huge message there. But you know, it's like when you are sat there in your space,
yes,
you have to face your own God.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You know, there's a wonderful Jackson Browne song. I'm a big Jackson Browne fan. Joe and I were in Dublin around the first of the year, and we saw Christy Moore, and he sang this, and it's called Before the Deluge. And one of the lines that stands out in there is, we were trying to understand something so simple and so huge, and to see if we could live after the deluge. And, you know, that really seems quite prophetic, you know, and Jackson's one of my favorites, because he's tapped into the cosmos in a beautiful, deep, heart-centered way. Yeah, I mean, we're all going through an initiation, and not everyone is going to succeed in forgiving or releasing or opening our hearts or letting go of our fears or trusting or asking. But for those of us that are willing to do that, I think this is a profound time of grace, you know, and tremendous healing.
And I think the amount of anger that's coming up everywhere, Lou, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing, you know, if I'm able to get out and walk the dog, then, you know, I'm seeing that there's a lot of people are sort of, you know, it's a bit like road rage, isn't it? I mean, people are sort of, there was one chap, and he was saying on a path, and he said, well, which way are you going? Because this path is not 2 meters wide. And he got quite angry with me because he couldn't see a way around. And you know, it brings up, it's like, well, he doesn't know me from Adam, so it was easy for him to shout at me.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
But that's okay, because I had the opportunity there of either diving in there and becoming the warrior and going, well, you know, whoa, you know, you're shouting at me, and you know, all of that. But then I just thought, you know what, that man is so scared. You know, right now he is so scared on so many different levels.
Yeah.
You know, all you can do really is radiate out compassion.
Right.
and love
Yes.
and forgiveness and understanding. And, you know, it's not all you can do, but you can do it.
Yes, that's very powerful. I quite agree with you, because you're right. When people are frightened and angry, we're going to need to really shift into that place of tolerance and discernment and compassion, you know.
And as I was reminded today, that this that that sits in the liver. So if that's sitting in this area below the heart and above the solar plexus in chakra terms, because I use a lot of chakras, and work with that. But in chakra terms, that's the big leap from the solar plexus, from the first 3 chakras, which connect us into Gaia, connect us into the dimension that we're walking in. And the big leap is across the trapezius into the heart center, or the chalice, or that beautiful energy of unconditional love.
Yes.
And the liver energy resides within that jump, and the liver connects with anger, and then of course that's a detoxification organ, which then goes down to the kidneys and the adrenals and the survival mechanism. And apparently this virus, a kinesiologist friend of mine tuned in when I did a Q&A the other day, and she said that apparently this virus lurks in the urethra, which is quite interesting. So that's pretty unexpected too. So it's what's the word? Where you retreat to? It's a reservoir. It scampers about all over the body, and obviously we get the symptoms here, and the respiratory area, which is clearing the lungs and the heart and the grief and all of those things that sit. You know, we have the grief that sits in the lungs, and the unconditional love that sits in the heart, and the guilt, and the I'm not good enough, and all of that.
Yes.
But
worthiness.
But then if this virus lurks and sits in the urethra, then that's quite interesting, because that's all to do with the water element of the body, which obviously we are mostly anyway, 78 or 9, or perhaps even a higher percentage, just like Gaia is, Mother Earth. But the liquids and emotion, and all of those things tie in together. So if we, as we are being, my guidance is that warm drinks, and plenty of them, are great.
Yeah.
So if we keep drinking warm drinks, it flushes the mouth and it goes down through us, and then it's got to come out somewhere, right? So if that means that we keep, someone said that's great, but you telling me to drink all the time, but that means I have to go to the toilet a lot. And I'm thinking, well, actually that's good, because it means the whole system is getting flushed.
Oh yeah, I mean, that makes good sense. I'm sure we're going to still learn a lot more about our friend here, the coronavirus, biologically and all of this energetically. Yeah, I mean, like we're saying, hon, it's I really feel what you're saying earlier. This is, to me, this is all the denied emotional healing that is stuck in the collective body, and the collective unconscious, and the earth, which has now made this shift from the 3rd into the 5th, according to you and Patricia Cotter-Robles and many others who we know and trust, so we know, okay, we can't go back, we're going forward, but we can't take all the, crap with us, so we have got to cry it out and, get it through us and let it go every way that we can. Because the body doesn't lie, and the body of the earth doesn't lie. I honestly feel like it's quite possible that this is actually a bioweapon that somebody created, because you couldn't make a more effective disturber of the whole world. And so anyway, we'll find out as we go along. But to come back to love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, my 4 favorite topics, and to keep opening our hearts, as you said, my friend, in compassion and forgiveness and understanding and courage. We're really being called on to be very courageous, as you were there on the path. These are things that strengthen our heart, that strengthen our faith, that strengthen our immune system. And I think the planet is saying, look, folks, you can be here, but you got to really get with the program if you want to live in this world that we're co-creating with you. This is the open door, but it's going to take everything you've got and more than you probably think you have to get through this doorway, you know?
And I'm just blown away by, you know, all of, as I just said, you know, the amount of work that I thought I'd done, and I've still got murky depths that I still, you know, I'm not, that sounds wrong. I don't mean to say that I'm surprised that I'm not enlightened and ascended. I'm obviously, you know, I've got heaps of work to do. And I've been doing it for women ages, but I think the people who have been fast tracked right now, God, what a shock to the system.
Yeah, well, that's honestly, that's what I've been saying, hun, that for the last 6 months, I've said the world is going to do the work that we've been doing up until now. But sweetheart, I think we're also, I see this, my housemate who's extremely conscious and many other conscious friends, we're also being asked to process the energy of the collective, not just our own personal stuff. So, you know, don't feel downhearted or you know, please be of good cheer. But yes, this is our part of the, like, yeah, I will do that for myself and for humanity, because we're all in this thing together as never before. And I'm sure that is true energetically. And what little I know of the fifth dimension, you know, is that things are greatly accelerated. There's no fear. And, you know, so we need to be naked before the world and naked before God and ourselves in order to get there.
On that, I don't think we can get into the fifth dimension with fear.
No.
So I feel that we're in the fourth. I mean, some of us reside in the fifth and higher some of the time, but I think we are still dipping through the fourth, because we are still clearly clearing fear and time and karma. And you know, I love the way that I can think something and it's manifest. So immediately I think that I need something, then suddenly it's there. And that's amazing. That's about, you know, we're talking like bilocation, we're talking, you know, all of the telepathy. You know, we're not going to need internet and stuff very soon, because we'll just be basically connecting telepathically.
Yeah.
And bilocating, so, you know, you're just going to be able to think yourself somewhere and be in a couple of places. And that, actually, a lot of us know that we can do that now. But that's very fifth dimensional. And a lot of people think I'm talking a load of crap, right? You know, I mean, I've been, you know, but that's what we're at. So for me, and I love Patricia Robles, and you know, you and I look at a lot of the same stuff, but we don't, but also, you know, we don't necessarily just buy into just what one or two people are saying. You know, we both look around a lot and get a blend, don't we? And then meditate on that and see how we feel personally, and about how that sits with us.
Yeah.
I think that's the key. So when we do have, you know, a Kundalini shift, when we do have an awakening on some level, when we do enough clearance of our own crap, when we get our chakras flowing, and the energy of the Sushumni does flow up through, you know, our Earth Star chakra and up through the base, the sacral, solar plexus, up through the heart, the higher heart, the thymus, the throat, and then it comes to the ones in the head. And I work with a lot of the chakras in the head. So, you know, we've got not just the third eye, but we've also, which is massive and connected with the pineal and the master gland of the body, the pituitary. But also there's the altar major, which a lot of people haven't talked about, or jade gate, or well of dreams, or zeal point. There are lots of names for it. But I've been writing about it for years. This one at the back of the neck is very important, and the indigenous ones always connect that one with the third eye, with the heart. And if you do a triangular breathing practice with that, you know, 3, 4, 5 breath, which is what I keep recommending to people, you know, just breathe in for 3, hold for 4, breathe out, sigh for 5. Then you can ground, then you can connect with your Sushumni, then you can start putting the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, slide it back to where the soft palate dips, connect in with the pituitary and the pineal,
Yes,
third.
look your eyes up through your third eye as well. Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to you find where your third eye is, you take that distance between your chin and your nose, you do the same again. That's where your third eye is, but it's deep within the brain. It's 3 levels, but it connects very much to things like the vagus nerve, to the pituitary gland and the pineal, but also somatic, so the somatic healing. And that soma chakra is one that I'm working with and have been for the past 6 or 7 years now, is on the hairline. And again, a lot of people are getting a lot of headaches around these areas. And then, of course, we've got the crown chakra, Sahasrara, and so we've got, and we've got one on the tip of our tongue, we've got chakras everywhere. But when those start to flow, and the Shoshone rises and spins around us in the toric field, like we've got Mother Earth and every living thing has got, then we can become connected, then we can heal, then we can start clearing. And it's like having a blocked drain with all of the clutter that's been within it and crap that has blocked our system, flushed through, and therefore you can find that place of bliss. And one of the things that I had in one of my channelings, just hopefully we'll get some questions, but one of the things that I got was that I was shown in the dream state, and just, it was an old light switch, just like you've got in your house.
Yeah.
And the shown was pretty grubby, and someone just flicked the switch like they were putting on a light, and with that, suddenly, all the ringing in my ears, all the white noise, all the fuzziness that's been there for the past 3 years or so, just disappeared.
Wow.
And I just felt the most immense peace that I have ever felt. And I've had at least 2 Kundalini shifts.
Right.
And I can access my Kundalini.
Right.
But I have never felt that peace, that love of everything.
Brilliant. How did that happen, honey?
I was just in a lucid dreaming, when it's like golf, you get taken out of body, all that stuff, and you end up having the experiences while your body is resting. And it was just at the end of one of those dreams, and I just woke up and just felt the best peace I've ever felt. And that was the bliss and the joy and the love.
Yeah.
And there was, on that note, there was just one other thing that I had about 8 years ago. I went up to Avebury, and I know we're going out all over the world here, and I know that the UK is one of the main heart centres of the planet.
Yes.
Chakra planet. And I went up with some very awake friends, the three other friends and me, and we went up to do some work at Avebury Stone Circle.
Yeah.
We all got up early in the morning, and we stopped at a Greasy Joe's Cafe just for a cup of tea and a sandwich or something.
Yeah.
On the way there. And this was in Marlborough, and I've never been to Marlborough, and I was with these 3 friends. We were sat around a little Greasy Joe's table with the ketchup and the and the mustard and the salt and the pepper and the all of that, and napkins in the middle, and this friend of mine, Karen, and I were just looking at each other, and when you look into somebody's eyes and you just, everything else kind of goes fuzzy, but you're just looking at their soul.
Yeah.
And you're connecting. And this friend of mine, Karen, is a walk-in. She's a great star being. Right. And she and I were just there, and everything was just fuzzy around, but I was used to that, because when I look and talk to someone, I talk into their eyes.
Yeah.
So then I looked over at the queue in the cafe, and I just knew a guy in the queue. And I actually felt a lot of love for him.
Okay.
Not in a sexual way or a fancy way or anything, it was just, I felt him.
Yeah.
I kind of felt his story. And then I just had this most unconditional love. And then I noticed everybody else in the queue, and Lou, I loved every one of them, and I knew every one of them, and I could see their stories. And I've never had that. And I said to Karen, look over there. And she looked, and she felt the same. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. And we carried on talking, and that for me was the fifth dimension, because you look around and you just love and know everyone like they are yourself.
Yeah.
Just know them and you love them unconditionally.
Yes.
Then the two friends that we were sat next to in this little table just had stopped talking, and they looked at us and they were gazing at us like we were just aliens. And they're very spiritually awake people. And they just said, "Where were you two?" And we said, "Well, we're not sure. This is 7 years ago. We had no idea what this fifth dimension business was."
Mm.
And they both said, you both went fuzzy, like in Star Trek. You were pixelated.
Wow. Wow.
And we were, really?
Wow.
That's incredible. I haven't, and that was very new for me.
Oh, that's a brilliant story, sweetheart. That is absolutely gorgeous.
It blew me away.
Oh, sure. Well, it certainly should. If that doesn't, nothing will. You know. I mean, this kind of. Did you read the Celestine Prophecy?
That was the thing that woke me up in the 90s, and yeah.
Right. So, I mean, those are amazing books, and people should read them if they haven't looked at them. And so the end of the first book, the group which is trying to save the planet, they all get in heart frequency with each other, and they disappear to the visuals of the people that are searching for them. And so, Joe and I were at Avebury once on our own, and once with Enrita Melchizedek. We couldn't pass up that opportunity. So that was a great gift, and it is a very magical place. But of course, these are gateways. That's why they're sacred sites. And I think, sure, I to come back to what you're saying earlier, honey. I mean, there's no doubt that humanity and other civilizations have coexisted on this planet for millions of years, and all these, now we're in this brilliant time, the return of the divine feminine, the opening of our spiritual heart. My guides call it your heart of hearts, and like we said, it's just at the core of our being. But we have to, it's often through crisis, and nothing works and nothing answers our needs, and we're so frightened and so overwhelmed that is when we give up the fight, and the hanging on to excuses and living in our little head. I mean, that's a beautiful story. And can I just say also, you were just mentioning lucid dreaming in passing, but just to point out to people, that is a profound tool of awakening our consciousness to the deeper self, isn't it?
It is. I would not know how to describe to someone how to go about accessing it, and apart from working with your chakras and cleaning the channels. Well, I suppose I do know loads of tools.
Don't we intend as we go to sleep at night, I'm going to remember my dreams, I'm going to be awake in my dreams, I'm going to be conscious of my dreams a few times, and then you start accessing that? How do you do it?
I'm sure that would be a really, I mean, you speak to your guides and they can guide you through it.
Yeah.
And also pull you out of any uncomfortable situation should you get into one. Because I do believe that actually that there are parallel, realities going on the whole time. And we, I know that my hubby Alan has been in different situations, and he's been a warrior in this lifetime and in other dimensions and other realms.
Yeah.
And we've got some amazing stories and things, but sometimes he has been in a realm where he has been screaming in his sleep, and I've had to go and wake him up gently. And he said that he's felt that he's been dragged out of the bed by something that is at the end of the bed, and he's been frightened of. Now he's not frightened of much, and he is. But then we've seen there are bruises around the leg.
Right.
So not. I think the thing is to if you're going to set, well, for me, if I'm going to set my intent to go and do remembering of lucid dreaming, then I want to make sure that my guidance, my support team is right there with me, and it's all for the highest good.
Sure. Well, where else would they be, sweetheart?
Of course. But I think sometimes, of course.
I need to have a little laugh with you on that one. Okay. But go on. Yeah.
For any help.
Well,
but you were talking about stargates and the sacred sites and right? All of them.
Yeah. I mean, you're making great point, and this is the thing is like sovereignty, is a theme that keeps coming up, and it's like Lazarus calls taking dominion, that we've been in this paradigm of the wounded masculine trying to dominate Mother Earth, and here comes our karma now, right here and now today, and then it's dominion, which is living in harmony and balance with the earth, with love and respect, you see. So Joe and I have talked about this quite a bit, because, the difference, one of the shifts, is not seeing the unknown as inherently threatening, but turning the unknown into, this is where the mystery begins. This is where things come from. What do I want to experience? What do I intend to experience? These kinds of things.
And also we're all on a different paths and different journeys, and our souls have all got agreements, and and we're never to judge someone on their journey, and to remember that somebody else is going to be on a different part of their journey, and not to assume that we know what their soul agreements are.
Of course.
Not to judge anybody on that, and to honor ourselves, but to honor the divine within each and every other person that we meet.
Sure. I'm just thinking in terms of, overcoming our fears, which all of us struggle with. I raise my hand. I have them like everyone else does. But just, like as we're gazing in our crystal ball here with our friends and trying to, bring some hope and some help for these challenging times, I just heard Eckhart Tolle talk about this today, Sarah, that he said, these are often we think we're thinking something, but actually our thoughts are thinking us. And, when we look at the news, we know what the thoughts will probably be. And we look at the body count and the number of ventilators, we know what our thoughts are going to think about that. So, we go, okay, got that, that's how much gas is in the tank. Now, what can I do to put more gas in my tank? That's all I'm saying.
Funny, that you should mention gas in tanks. We were in the middle of Mexico once doing some crystal placements, and it took us 2.5 hours to get to a sacred site, and it took us 17.5 to get out of the jungle.
I remember that story. Yes. Yes.
And we ran out of gas, and we had, and that was facing fears. So
sure.
I mean,
sure.
Yeah, you're so right. The amount of work that we're all constantly doing. Have we got anyone asking any questions yet, Lou?
We have 9 happy campers. Carolyn made a nice comment. This is a shift humanity needed. And Carolyn also says, our friend in the north, Carolyn McGowan, from my Denmark trip, Joe and me, I worked with addicts and I deliver ocular acupuncture. One of the points is the liver. So that's interesting. Sure, of course, I mean, a lot of addiction is fueled by anger, which is fueled by fear and, self-doubt and self-judgment and all those lovely things that we all get to dance with. She also says, Caroline, I'm seeing a lot of kindness, humor, and compassion. It's quite beautiful.
It is.
Absolutely. So I guess they're just happy to hear us, but I'm going to have to answer the biological call of nature here shortly. Okay. Is there anything we want to say before we wrap up? It's always a joy to hang out with you, hon. I love you madly. You're amazing.
Thank you. I just for everyone. I mean, just what everybody else is saying. Stay calm, stay centered. Stay focused. Visualize the best outcome. Look at all these double numbers. I know I say it every time, but if you see a double number, 11, 11, 12, 12, 22, 22, any of these numbers, 55, 66, angel numbers, power numbers, those for me are flags to just visualize your very best outcome. And if you worry about something, you'll bring it on, because there are multiple timelines that we can all go down. And I think this is important just to finish on, that we have a path that's led us to here. And from here, we have multiple paths that we can take. Now, you can go down a fear-based route. You can go down many other routes. You can go into the Ascension route. You can do any. There are millions of pathways that you can go along. An infinite amount of pathways that you can go down, and we're all going to come back to the light eventually. So the thing is, it's just about which adventure you're going to take. And where you, as you said before, and I love what you say, where you place your attention, you manifest. So, where attention goes, energy flows. That one, right?
Yeah.
I think if you focus on something, you're going to manifest it. So if you think you're going to get sick, you will. If you think you're not going to get sick, you won't. If you think, if you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. Only focus on your best outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
And most of it is logical. And lastly, take your head out of it and go with your heart.
Of course. Well said. That's right. The one that came through today, honey, you'll like this from Spirit, was you may feel on your own, but you're never alone. We are all one.
We are.
Yeah.
Together. And we've also got a huge soul group in a monad. So you've got 11 other souls and 143 other souls in your monad. And they're all here helping us home. We're walking each other home. And I know all of us teachers and students, all of us, same thing, right?
Yes, of course.
Teacher, student. All of us in our roles are walking each other home. And I think all we can do is to help each other to do that. Beautiful. So you must go and answer the call of nature, my friend.
Yes, darling. Thank you for taking the hint. You're very kind. Bless you. Well, we'll do this again real soon, and we'll figure out all the techno stuff, but somehow today we managed, and thanks for everyone who came on here and held the space with us. Talk to you soon. Peace and blessings, all right?
Lots of love. Thank you.
Lots of love. Thank you.
Have a good week.
You too.